Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is May 18th, 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, earlier this morning, actually it was early afternoon, over in the northern part of France near the English Channel, a very, very weird occurrence has occurred again. We haven't seen much of this since last year, and I'm talking about water near beaches, oceans, inlets, just completely disappearing. One of our subscribers that lives in France and doesn't live too far away from this French port called BEAUMONT-HAGUE. They were actually going there for their Saturday afternoon sail on their small sailboat. And they said whenever they got there, the water was looking normal. It's kind of a beach area, a tourist area. Very, very beautiful from the photographs that I've seen. And they said within a matter of 1 hour, while they were getting set up, the water in this small French port just literally started to disappear. And within that hour, the boats that you will see and that you could see in this screenshot for my thumbnail, the water just disappeared completely, leaving the boats stranded within this small tourist port. So it's kind of strange, folks. You know, we saw this occur last year, I believe, in parts of eastern Brazil, and it occurred in the western part of the state of Florida. We've seen this also, I believe, over in, it's been about a year now since we've actually seen this type of activity. I think it was somewhere over in the South Pacific. But we've been seeing this quite a bit over the course of the last 2 years. Folks, just give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the live chat here. And give me 1 second. Hope everybody's enjoying their Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. A lot of really, really bad storms pouring across the United States. We're going to take a look at that here pretty soon. Okay. But anyways, I was going back and forth with Lawrence. I called him Larry once and he didn't like it. So I guess people in France don't like to be called Larry. Hey, Lawrence, just joking with you, buddy. But anyways, he said that they were very worried that their boat was actually going to be damaged. And there were about a dozen boats that were left in this port. And as you can see, again, on my thumbnail, this is a tourist area. Again, it's just absolutely gorgeous area. It kind of looks like wine country. And it sits right along the English Channel. So I started doing some poking around. He gave me a link to a webcam that surveys this entire area. And again, people, tourists, pretty much use this web link to see what the conditions are before they travel up to this area. But I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this thumbnail, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of this, because the webcam footage, boy, I'll tell you, it blew me away, because whatever happened here happened pretty fast. So let me go ahead and jump out of here. And let's just move right over to here. I'm going to go ahead and just show you this area real quick. I'm going to go ahead and pan out. I put a little marker where the tourist office is, so I don't lose it on my map here. So I'm going to expand all the way out here. And you can see it is just right across the English Channel from the UK. And again, it's a very, very beautiful area. I'm going to go ahead and zoom all the way in here, and I was actually able to find this small port. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that up on the screen for a second. In the webcam video, you will see this entire area, and just by looking at the maps photograph, the satellite photograph, you can tell that this area has been dredged. It has been, hollowed out for boats. It's a small port. So naturally, they want to keep the water levels high enough for boats to be docked there. To have water just disappear completely, leaving boats literally sitting on the bottom of nothing, well, that's kind of rare. But as you can see in the darker area, I'll pan in. I'll pan in just a little bit here, and you can see these boats, and you're going to see pretty much the same thing when we go to the webcam. They built a little seawall, or it could be referred to as a jetty, a form of protection for the boats coming in. Kind of makes for a wave breaker in case they do have some high seas. And again, when you pan out and you take a look at this area, relatively very rural, and it's absolutely beautiful, beautiful country. But as we zoom in a little further, now you can see right along here, that's their regular beach. It looks very, very well kept. Looks like a lot of this is probably somewhat man-made. They keep it very, very clean. I was looking at the webcam footage, and it looks like a fantastic place to visit. But that's the area that we're looking at here. And I'm just going to go ahead and pan back out. We have the English Channel right there. And yeah, the English Channel is pretty deep. So I was looking to see if there were any kind of earthquakes, any kind of seismic activity. I was checking the tides in this area. And whenever I was chatting back and forth with Lawrence, I asked him if this had ever happened before. He told me that he's had a small sailboat in this area for 25 years. 25 years. And he's never, ever seen anything like this. And then he questioned me. He said, well, why would I dock my boat there? Why would I leave my boat there if the water was going to disappear once or twice a day and leave it stranded on the bottom? That's how French folks are, I guess they don't like dumb questions from Americans. But anyways, that's the case, and that's where we're looking at right there. This is kind of odd. Again, folks, we did see this several times last year. Dr. Albers wrote several reports on this water just receding and then coming back in later on. But I'm going to jump out of here, and we're going to go over to the weather, not the weather cam. Well, actually, it is a weather cam. But this is the link that he provided me to go and check these areas. He told me to go down to the link where I have my cursor, the Beaumont-HAGUE region. And, I did. I went there, I clicked on it, and I was checking it out. And it brings you over to the actual Beaumont-HAGUE port webcams. And right now, what you're looking at on your screen is actually a live view. And, yeah, all of the water is gone. Completely. Now, if you take a look at my cursor, way back here, this area, this is all supposed to be water. This is a very touristy area. I don't think that, people would be flocking to this area in the spring and the summertime if the water was going to be disappearing twice a day or even once a day. And I guess Lawrence was right. Why would you dock your boat here knowing that it was going to be sitting on just about dry land at least once or twice a day? That could easily damage a prop, the propeller or the underneath of the boat, topple the boat over to the side. I mean, you never know. So this is the oh my, knock it off. You're always doing that right in the middle of my live stream to go back and lay down. Sorry about that, folks. My little wiener dog barking at my neighbor. He don't like my neighbor at all. But anyhow, anywho, and anyway, this is the current webcam, and this is, hey, knock it off. Man, that's the problem doing live TV. Anyways, folks, we're going to go ahead and jump down here, and we're going to go backwards in time. And I actually recorded a short little video of this. Oops, that's the 17th. Sorry about that. And this is earlier. Now remember, there's a time difference. I think about 5 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Let's get rid of that ad. So as you can see, today on the 18th at 8:09, 8:09 Frenchy time. Yeah, plenty of water. It was all there. So what happened to it? We even noticed that that small rock formation right out there, and whenever we go back to the dry land video clip, you'll see that big rock sticking out of the what used to be ocean, and it's completely gone. So I would have to agree with Lawrence in the fact that, okay, why would you dock your boat here if you knew the tide was going to go out every single day and leave your boat stranded on dry land? Doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to go ahead and just pan down here a little bit. I'm going to whip through these. Oh, there we go. So we'll bring this up, and here you could already see that the water's starting to disappear. Now, just real quick, let me go ahead and back this up a little bit. You already see one truck right there that's already pulling their boat out of the water. So I'm going to go ahead and let this play. You really can't see that person. Yeah, he's smart. He's pulling his boat right out of there. You can see another gentleman right here. He's on his boat. His boat is already tilting sideways. And, I mean, there's a possibility that they don't have a trailer ready to take their boat out of there. There's another guy on here. He's actually pulling up his motor so the prop doesn't get damaged. This looks like it might be some fishermen. Some of those boats do look like they're small fishing boats. But as you move forward, I'm going to go ahead and just jump this forward to here. And this was an hour later. And we'll go ahead and let this run. Okay, so the previous clip was around 11 in the morning. This is 12 in the afternoon. And you can see this water is very quickly disappearing. That rock formation right here where my cursor is, that rock formation's now poking out of the, poking up in the air. No water, nowhere around. And this is very suspicious. Last year when this happened in several locations around the world, me and Dr. Albers went back and forth, trying to figure out why this would happen. So many people had so many different answers for it. 99.9% of those answers I just wasn't buying. I lived in South Florida for 22 years. I know all about the tides. I lived on the Intercoastal Waterway for all of those 22 years. And I'm very familiar with tides. And again, speaking with a man who has lived around this area here in France, has had a boat there for, 20 some years, knows the area very well, knows the tides, and he's telling me that this has never happened before. So what is happening? That's very strange. For me, that's strange. Some folks may not think that this means anything to them. But when we start seeing water displacements like this, again, water receding, sometimes near an area like this, a small inlet or a small port, there could be a possibility of an underwater earthquake, but nothing came up on the earthquake maps. Nothing. The sea floor sliding, no signs of anything like that. However, last week, a scientific report came out by a few scientists. I believe one of them is an oceanic scientist, and they were talking about this plate near Portugal that was peeling apart, like you peel an orange or peel an apple. And they stated that, I believe it was approximately 200 years ago, that plate that is off of the coast of Portugal peeled back and sent a tsunami inland that killed, I think it was 100,000 people 200 years ago. And now they're detecting this part of the seafloor doing the same thing. They use the terminology peeling back. There wasn't much information in the article as far as charts, graphs, pictures, things of that nature. So I really don't know what they meant by peeling back. So I've been searching for additional information on it. I really haven't found anything. Reason of concern, Dr. Albers' mom still lives in Portugal, and she lives in Lisbon. And that's, very, very close to the shore. And her brother and his family still live there in Lisbon. So this was the situation here at 12:39. We're going to go ahead and jump to the next one. Yeah, we'll just move to this one here. This is about 2 hours later. The water was already gone. So we'll just go ahead and let that run. So this is the actual live webcam footage, and as you can see, this is now like 2 hours later, but this water literally disappeared in 1 hour. That's pretty fast. That's like draining your bathtub. You pull the plug and boom, the water disappears. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the time and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait for this webcam to update itself continuously. And it actually does that it looks like every 30 minutes. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait and see how long it takes for this water to come back. If it does. Very, very strange. I hope we don't start seeing this stuff, this water recession, happening over and over again in different parts of the world, because that means something's seriously wrong. But again, like I said, last year when this was happening, me and Dr. Albers went round and round and, trying to think of all kinds of different theories why this would be happening. Several occurrences off the coast of Brazil where the water disappeared had nothing to do with storms, had nothing to do with anything like that. But yet a whole entire bay of water just disappeared. Gone. Now it did come back, but we saw this again over and over and over again. Different parts of Florida, different parts of South America, mainly on the eastern coast of South America. So I don't know, maybe this has something to do with what's happening in the Atlantic Ocean, because the English Channel is tied to the Atlantic. I don't know, folks. Very, very strange. I'm going to go ahead and jump back here, and we're going to get an up-to-date. This is the most, I'm going to click on it here. This is the most up-to-date webcam shot at 1539 right now. So this is actually current. You can see people walking around there. This is a live webcam. And again, it looks like it's actually gotten worse. The land is starting to dry. Wow. And it even looks like, if you look further over to the upper right-hand part of the screen, it actually looks like the water has receded even more. So now this has been going on for estimated 3.5 to 4 hours already. I wonder if more. I wish I had a better panoramic shot looking out to the right over towards the ocean. I do believe that there is another webcam that does show that. Give me 1 second. Let's take a look and see, because I know there's a few more under here I was looking at, and I believe this is it right here. Oh, that's it. That's it. Bingo. Wow, did you see all the people over there? The one guy had his arms up in the air like, what the hell's going on? Where's all the water? Okay, yeah, here's a good panoramic view right here. Wow, look at that. I know there's a lighthouse out here. I saw it on one of the maps. I don't know if we'll be able to see the lighthouse. Boy, this is an absolutely beautiful area. How'd you like to live in that house right there? That'd be one hell of a view, huh? That's probably about $1 million view. Yeah, so this is actually panning. Now there's the lighthouse. There you go. I knew I saw one on the map. So I wonder how shallow that water. Wow, look at that piece of land sticking out right here. Wow, it zooms in for you. Look at that. Wow. Pretty cool webcam. So now it's panning around, and this is actually live, folks. I mean, as we speak, you're looking at this part of France, and the water's gone. Now you can tell the difference in the color of the sand. You know, you have your real white colored sand, and then you have the darker area, naturally because it was wet. You could see all these folks, they're just kind of milling around wondering what the hell's going on. You could see a boat ramp right there for people that want to lower their boats in by trailer. There's also a long boat ramp there along that seawall. And these boats are all stranded. And it looks like a lot of those people are kind of surprised at what they're seeing. And again, folks, I went to another oceanic website for France and was checking on the tides. There's nothing in relation to what we're seeing right now. Right now, you're seeing this actually live, what's happening in France. This water along the English Channel, along this Port BEAUMONT-HAGUE in the northern part of France, right across the English Channel from the UK, the water's gone. Yeah. It's kind of odd. It almost reminds me of, an earthquake situation out in the ocean that we don't know about. Maybe seismic devices pick it up, and hopefully they do. And the next thing you know, during these type of uplift earthquakes under the ocean, you'll have two pieces of land underneath on the ocean bottom, just like this. And then all of a sudden, if the earthquake either drops or raises, that creates this whole massive displacement of water. Now, before that water rushes in, it recedes backwards. And we've seen that many times over in Sri Lanka last year, or not too long ago, that that music band that was performing, I forget which country that was in, either the Philippines or Sri Lanka, somewhere in that area, where that tsunami came in while the music band was playing on an outdoor stage and literally hit the stage from behind and wiped out and killed a lot of people. And it killed everybody in the band that was playing live right there at that moment. The only person who survived was the lead singer. He even lost his wife, who was in the crowd videotaping his performance. And no warning, no nothing. That wall of water just came in, and it did a lot of damage. I think it was in the Philippines. I'm really not sure. But I'm kind of curious what's happening here now in this northern part of France. I mean, if I have to sit here all damn day and watch this weather cam to figure out and find out where the hell this water went and at what time it's going to come back in, because that's going to tell the tale right there. And again, this has nothing to do with an outgoing tide. You can see that it looks like the sun's coming out a little bit, and more and more tourists are starting to show up. And what they're finding, I mean, it looks like a few of them were quite surprised. You saw the one guy, he was just standing there, he's holding his hands up. He's like, where the hell is the water? So I'm sure that these people have visited this area many, many times before. I'm sure they know their surroundings. And, I mean, that's like you go into your favorite spot, your favorite fishing hole, and then one day whenever you decide to go fishing, there's no water. What the hell happened to it? Where did it all go? So that's the big question. I'm going to stay on top of this and maybe try to figure it out, folks. We were never able to figure out last year legitimately where this water recession periods, where'd this water go? Just no answers to it. There were some people on YouTube that, they had their own theories. I pretty much disagreed with all of them because not all of the factors were there to displace that amount of water. It's not easy. This is very, very odd. Very, very concerning. Maybe later on this afternoon or sometime early evening, me and Mark from the Blue Kool-Aid channel, we're going to do a live stream together because we were discussing last night what happened to this solar storm. What happened to these 3 impacts that we were supposed to get from these CMEs coming from the sun early on in the week? They disappeared. The Earth really didn't take that much of a hit. And yesterday I was working away and I kind of uncovered a few things that aren't making too much sense. We'll go over all of that with you later on. And then Mark was doing some poking around, and he captured something and pointed something out to me. And we talked about it last night for about an hour and a half, and we were able to capture some footage on what occurred. I'll hold all of you at bay till we have this live stream, because it's very, very interesting, and it all kind of falls in line with my theory of where Planet X is orbiting our sun. And I know, folks, that maybe some of you just don't want to believe that that is the case, but trust me, I wouldn't sit here and lie to you, just to create some YouTube live stream. I'm pretty damn sure I know what this orbit is. I've been working on it since the early part of 2017. We're almost halfway through 2019. I've been collecting this data again and again, and I've been charting this for that amount of time. And I've been, like I showed you guys the other day, I've been putting these notes of mine in a notebook so I could refer back to them when I'm actually making photo captures from these space satellites, where the position of this object actually is. And this situation here in France, it's got me stumped. I don't know what to think. Is it some kind of freak tide? I don't know. They're not talking about it on any of the French oceanic websites. The tides, the incoming tide, outgoing tide, they just have their normal times. And again, like Lawrence was saying, he's never, ever seen anything like this in over 20 years of him docking his small sailboat there. So, I don't know, folks. That's pretty strange. You can see all kinds of small, I'm going to just go ahead and go back here. I'm going to just stop it right there. You can see all kinds of small canoe-type boats, rowboats. This is obviously a calm area. People come here to enjoy the afternoon, hang out at the beach, catch a few rays of some solar radiation. And it doesn't look like these people are going to be doing much of that unless they want to take a walk along the beach. What I'm curious to see is how fast and at what time all of that water comes back in. So if you look at the lay of the land, just in this photograph right here, would you be paranoid living in one of these houses over here? Because that rise of land right there doesn't look like it's that much of a buffer zone. If you had some violent storms or you had sea levels rising, it really wouldn't take much for that water to overflow that embankment and wipe out your house. And it doesn't look like that has ever happened in this area, because this looks like wine country, for God's sakes. The lay of the land looks perfect, looks beautiful. So I don't think that they ever undergo flooding situations here. Maybe some high waves. Maybe the water does come up to the base here. Obviously it does. You could see some dried out seaweed right here. So obviously the water does come up to about right there. And I'm not very familiar with the area, but that looks to be the case. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and bookmark that for right now so I can check it out. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put this link in the live chat. If any of you want to go ahead and continue to monitor this, I may have to break away. If anybody finds anything odd that occurred, you let me know. I'll put the link to this in the live chat, and you guys can you guys can monitor it for yourself also. One thing I want to check out real quick while we're all here, I had a few inbox messages from people in Texas. Man, they were getting slammed by really bad storms that were coming in. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up real quick so we could just take a look at it. Oops, wrong one. Didn't want the long wave. I want the short wave. I was already watching this first thing this morning, folks. You all know I'm a pretty avid weather watcher. I watch the weather just about every hour on the hour. You know, I'm checking the weather around the world. And I've been up since about 4 a.m. And by 6 a.m., I started to see these formations over the state of Texas. And they weren't looking too good. They've actually, as you can see right now, and this is live satellite from the GOES 16, you can see the size of this sail forming. I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in here so you can get a better look at it. And that's pretty deadly. I did an article earlier this morning showing an AccuWeather storm chaser that was on foot out in the Midwest when a tornado touched down. And he was on foot. He was far away from his vehicle. And as he was running, holding his camera in hand, the tornado went right over top of him. And he survived. He wasn't hurt. It was a small tornado. But there was a lot of damage overnight from these storm cells creating these tornadoes. As you can see, if you know your states and you know the map, you can just simply take a look at these locations. Yesterday up in Oklahoma, two very strange earthquakes, magnitude 4.4. Later on after that, I think it was a magnitude 3.8. Some folks say it has to do with fracking. I don't buy that BS when it comes to earthquakes in Oklahoma that are over a magnitude 2. So I was in the fracking industry for 5 years, studied it very well. I was very highly trained, 13 certifications, studied with geologists. Fracking is not going to produce a magnitude 3.5, 4.5 earthquake. Just not going to happen. So that was the situation out there in Oklahoma, and now you can see they are probably going to have some very serious situations out there today, this afternoon. You can see this storm front's going to be moving straight up through the central part of the United States. So if you see yourself on this map living in any of these areas as you're listening to me flap my gums on YouTube, prepare yourself. The one gentleman from Texas that lives in northern Texas this morning just inboxed me a short time ago and said, "Wow, Scott, we just got hammered with a tornado." Very, very severe storm. So the meteorologists that I've been listening to over the last 24 hours, they were kind of, leading up to, this was going to be a pretty active Saturday afternoon across the Central Plains. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be much upper level wind shear that's going to break this apart. On top of that, the upper atmosphere saturated with moisture. My local weatherman was saying that today we're going to be experiencing very, very humid temperatures today. The humidity is going to be up over 75% in May. That's kind of odd. But we may have some very severe storms here in my neck of the woods in Pittsburgh later on this afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock. We'll see. But just looking at Texas, that might be a disaster zone here as we speak. or within the next few hours. Also, folks, I wanted to just touch base real quick on what's about to occur out on the west coast of California. I'm just going to flip over to the other satellite here real quick. Give me 1 second. We're going to move over to the GOES 17 satellite. Let me get back to the infrared. They were talking about these atmospheric rivers. I posted a bunch of information on our private Planet X News network early this morning, and also on our Planet X News Facebook page. If you guys don't follow or subscribe to these outlets for information, get in the description box and start following Planet X News on Facebook. Join our private network. There's a lot more information there than there is here on YouTube. And like I said, folks, I'm not going to deal with YouTube and all these community guideline strikes and all of this crap. It's all complete nonsense on YouTube now, but it's one of the only outlets that I have where I can reach people. And they are actually preventing that also. You know, we have over 82,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel for the last 4 years, and we can't get over 3 or 4 or 5,000 views. Where are all the people? Where are you guys? Yeah, YouTube probably put you in the dungeon with me. But as you can see, I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. I'm going to pan over here. And they said that these atmospheric rivers are setting up way out there in the West Pacific, coming straight across the Pacific. And you can see they are already impacting Northern California, the coastlines of Oregon, and soon to be up into the southern part of the state of Washington. So you can see there's a pretty good circular motion going on right there. Couple 100 miles off the coast. You can see it right there. That's as far as the satellite data is taking it. I'm sure over the next few hours, that little convection right there will probably tighten up. If it does, it's going to pull more of this long atmospheric river that's way out in the Pacific. It's going to actually pull it in faster. They were talking about parts of Northern California getting in excess of 4.5 inches of rain at once. Yeah, it's not going to be too good. They were even talking about some parts of the Sierra Nevadas getting more snow. So we'll see how that pans out. One of the biggest risks right now, folks, and we've heard about it in the years that have passed, is the Oroville Dam. I started checking on that yesterday. You know, they finished the reconstruction. About 2 months ago, I got reports that the dam was leaking already. And it turned out to be true. Small leaks, nothing major. We had a dam break in Texas the other day. It was pretty bad, pretty violent. There was a webcam on it that actually got the video footage of the whole entire gate collapsing and all that water flowing downriver. Luckily, it flowed down into a recreational area. No people lived down there, so no loss of life, thank God. This situation that's brewing right now off of the coast of Northern California is not too good, because the Oroville Dam and Reservoir is in the bullseye right now for all of this rain. And they've had excessive amounts of rain over the past few weeks in this territory of Northern California, which means the reservoir at Oroville is getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And that volume of water behind all of that new reconstruction, let's just say this: Oroville is going to get a major, major test over the next 72 hours. Let's see what happens. I'm going to be keeping my eye on this also. I have a very, very good friend of mine that lives just below the Oroville Dam. The last time the situation occurred, she had to evacuate. She has an elderly father who has dementia, and he didn't want to leave the house. And yeah, she had some serious problems getting him to get in the car so they can get out of Dodge. And luckily, you know, those folks downriver from Oroville, luckily that dam did not break. If that ever broke, folks, you would see probably 2/3 of the part of Central California completely flooded. That would be a wall of water anywhere from 50 to 100 feet high coming down through those flatlands. That'd be devastating. But I'm going to be keeping my eye on all of this. And me and Mark, we're going to hold our live stream later on. We're going to be going over the disappearance of this geomagnetic storm that, I don't know, I guess you could say we hyped it up, but we were just talking about our observations, what we were actually seeing. Mainstream media caught on to it, and like I said, they even had write-ups in Newsweek, and there were people on the mainstream media talking about it. What we can't explain, or we will try to explain, is what the hell happened to it. I mean, we literally had 3 coronal mass ejections headed straight towards Earth. Now, just yesterday and last night, me and Mark both uncovered some very, very odd things. And I pointed something out yesterday morning to Dr. Albers. She wrote a report on it and did a video last night. It's up on her channel about one of these coronal mass ejections and its actual direction. There's some very, very odd things going on out there in our solar system, folks. Some of the things aren't making sense scientifically. Yeah. We've had a moderate increase in earthquake activity. I've seen very, very few fluctuations in the magnetopause. Really nothing to write home about. I've been keeping an eye on that also. I mean, it was a little compressed this morning. I actually posted some information on our private network for everybody to check out. And matter of fact, I'll bring that up real quick so you guys can see it. It really wasn't much. I'll let this go ahead and loop. You'll see some small fluctuations, some constricting of the magnetopause. You'll see a few waves come in, but nothing major. I was checking the electron flux to see if that was heating up. It was kind of moderate. Checked on the solar wind speeds, very moderate, between 400 and 500 kilometers per second. So, the big question is, where the hell did this geomagnetic storm go? They were talking about the aurora coming down all the way into the northern part of the United States. I checked on the aurora location yesterday, last night, and this morning. No, it did not come down into the United States for people to see. It receded way back up into northern Canada. So again, folks, like I said, there's some weird things happening that are almost kind of unexplainable. Unless you're one of those mainstream scientists that gets a paycheck from the government, and you'll go out there and say anything. You know, folks, I caught a video yesterday that was absolutely hilarious. And it was that TV scientist, Bill Nye, Oh my God. I can't stand that guy. He reminds me of that one astronomer, the black guy, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh man, between these two, I can't stand them both. But this Bill Nye, he was on. Well, they were talking about this video that he did about global warming. And usually this science guy, Bill Nye, he used to do an educational program for kids and like older kids. Wow. Whoo! He did a X-rated version of him going off the rails about global warming. And he did a video on this. He's dropping all kinds of F-bombs left and right. He almost sounded like me. Huh. I can't show it to you here in the live stream because I don't want the boob tube or somebody else jumping out there and throwing a copyright strike on me. But I do have it up on our private network. See, that's what I'm saying, folks. There's more I could show on our private network that I can't show on the boob tube or even Facebook. But I'm sure if you search for it on Google, it will come up. But yeah, he has a globe and he has a blowtorch, and he just starts dropping F-bombs, and he takes the blowtorch and lights the earth and said, here's your effing global warming. Yeah, I mean, he drops a bunch of F-bombs. It was very comical. I actually watched it 5 times because the guy's a complete idiot and he's nothing more than a mouthpiece. But this is our current situation, folks. Not much going on out there. The earthquake activity's been kind of moderate, mostly 4s and very, very low 5s. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. I don't know what happened to this geostorm. I actually recorded this real quick. And I mean, this is just showing you the, it's a little blurry because I had to zoom in on it. But, I mean, this is just showing you the wave that the Earth, the Earth just went through. And I'm going to go ahead and just, I'll stop it here so I can kind of bring it back. Let me get it right there. So if you see over here where my cursor is, you can see that was like the last wave. So where did these 3 waves go? They should have hit Earth. We should have had all kinds of fluctuations in the solar wind, the magnetosphere, a lot of constrictions within the magnetopause. We just about had nothing. The biggest event so far that has come out of this is a magnitude 6.0 earthquake in Papua New Guinea. And that's it. We're building some theories on what has happened. And like I said, later on today, early evening, me and Mark are going to get together and we're going to discuss this. We're going to throw some theories around. We're going to show you some of the evidence that we compiled last night and I've compiled this morning. And then we're going to go at it. But folks, once again, if you live in any of these areas in the central part of the United States, moving over to the East Coast today and tomorrow, please, heed the warning. These storms are getting very, very bad. They're erupting just like out of nowhere. And I watch this weather radar constantly when I know the situation is going to be kind of ripe for these storms. And sure enough, first thing this morning, after watching what was happening last night, I knew it was going to be one hell of a day for the people in the central part of the U.S. So if you do live in these parts, don't be a hero. Don't drive down flooded roads. Try to keep in tune with what's happening with your weather kind of on an hourly basis, because these storms can come in so fast, develop so quickly, and if you don't have enough time, you could end up a statistic and a victim. We all know that. So anyways, folks, I'm done for right now. I'm going to continue to monitor the situation in northern France with this water recession, try to figure that out. Stay tuned to Planet X News. Join our private network if you can. Follow us on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter also. And I just put the new links in there for all of you that want those chemtrail t-shirts, and the new link for our books on Barnes & Noble. I had a few people emailing me about that this morning. So all of the information, folks, everything is available in the description box underneath our videos. So listen, have a safe Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and me and Mark will see all of you this evening. Take care, folks.